Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitarine Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire. So continuing from the second chapter and the section where Srila Sutta Goswami is emphasizing that who should be the object of worship? Whom should one worship to get the ultimate and the absolute benefit? We have covered till verse number 26.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So we'll move from 27. So demigod worship is being condemned. So we saw in the 3 verses, 23rd to 25th, where it is recommended that those who are in the mode of goodness, they should worship exclusively Lord Vishnu. And what was the other reason that why one should worship Lord Vishnu? Why only Vishnu? Why not Brahma and Shiva? Please answer. We have discussed this. Why only Lord Vishnu? Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Lord Vishnu is only who is beyond all 3 material modes.
Yes, that is true. He is Parapurusha. Yeah. So what is the benefit?
And these modes cause bondage. So if we want to be free from these bondage, we have to take the shelter of Lord Vishnu.
Yes, precise answer. Perfect. So he is beyond the modes. So by worshipping him, the worshipper, they will also go beyond the modes. They can be liberated. Very good. Therefore, Vishnu and none else is called Mukti Pada, or the personality of Godhead, who can bestow upon us Mukti, liberation. The demigods, being like other living entities in this material world, are all liquidated at the time of the annihilation of the material structure. They are themselves unable to get liberation, and what to speak of giving liberation to their devotees. The demigods can award the worshippers some temporary benefit only, and not the ultimate one. But the question was that what is the ultimate good? So continuing on verse number 27. rajas-tamaḥ-prakṛtayaḥ sama-śīlā bhajanti vai pitṛ-bhūta-prajeśādīn, śriyaiśvarya-prajepsavaḥ. So the worshippers who are in the mode of rajas-tamaḥ, prakrtyā is the nature, or here it is being said mentality. So those who are of the lower nature is represented by the mode of rajas and tamas. Sama-śīlā here does not mean that they are equal to all, but they are in that mode. They are in that mode. The equality is of the mode. So what they do? Bhajanti, why? They also worship. But whom do they worship? Pitṛ-bhūta and prajeśādīn. So Pitra is the forefathers, Bhuta is the other living entities, and Prajeśādīn is the controllers of cosmic administration. What is this Prajeśādīn? What do we understand by this word Prajeśādīn? First time it is coming, or we are discussing. Controllers of cosmic administration. Yes, Ramya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, just like Chandra, Indra, and
Very
the sun
good.
god.
Very good. Perfect answer. These are the various demigods, the administrative heads, those who have these rights. And here Shriya is not Shreya, it is Shriya. Shriya is opulence, material opulence. And of course, Aishwarya is wealth and power. So both is mentioned that what is their position? They are in the lower mode, Rajas and Tamas. And being in the mode of Rajas and Tamas, they worship the personalities in the same category, but is pitṛ-bhūta-prajeśādīn. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to achieve some material opulence or wealth. Those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance worship those who are in the same category, such as the forefathers, other living beings, and the demigod in charge of cosmic activity. For such worshippers are urged by the desire to be materially benefited with women, wealth, power, and progeny. So this is the purpose, and this is the personalities whom they worship. Clear? So Prabhupada's purport, there is no need to worship demigod of whatsoever category if one is serious about going back to Godhead. So very clear that those who want to go back to the Supreme Lord, to the spiritual world, to the spiritual abode, what they have to give up? They have to give up demigod worship. And those who are engaged in demigod worship, what it means, as Prabhupada is quoting here, that they are not going to return home back to Godhead. They are going to remain here or return here. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:20 and 23, it is clearly stated that those who are mad after material enjoyment approach the different demigods for temporary benefits. Very famous verse, 7.20. What is the verse? Ganesh, you remember this verse from the 7th chapter? Prabhupada very profusely quotes, and we also discussed it many, many times.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I don't know.
You are always sorry. Why don't you revise? How many years you have spent in studying Bhagavad Gita? At least for 10 years you are connected, isn't it? How many years now?
Yes, Prabhuji, around 10 years.
So, you should be knowing. Pradeep?
Mogasha, moga karmano, moga
No. 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 This is just hear what is the purport speaking. See the purport. That those who are mad after material enjoyment approach the different demigods for temporary benefit which are meant for men with poor fund of knowledge. Mogasha Mog Karmana is in 7th chapter. Which verse is this? Very prominent verse. You had memorized the 7th chapter, Pradeep Prabhu. Yes or no? Prabhupada is quoting the verse number also. It is 720.
कामस्ते हृता-jñānāḥ prapadyante nya-devatāḥ तां niyamam āsthāya.
Kāmais hṛta-jñānāḥ. One who is very much captivated or intoxicated with lust. Kāmas hṛta-jñānāḥ. And what the lust does? Avritam jnanam etena jnanino nityavarino. Whose knowledge or whose intelligence has been stolen away. Prapadyante nya-devatāḥ. So these people, those whose intelligence has been lost, and they are overwhelmed with the influence of lust, which is rajas. So such people are prakṛtyā here. They have this svabhava, or this kind of nature, is to approach the demigods for getting some material boon and benefits. We should never desire to increase the depth of material enjoyment. Prabhupada gives a warning. We should never desire to increase the depth of material enjoyment. Material enjoyment should be accepted only up to the point of bare necessities of life and not more or less than that. So Prabhupada is giving the balance. Prabhupada is giving the right formula. How much material enjoyment? Only to the point of bare necessities of life. To accept more material enjoyment means to bind oneself more and more to the existence. I'm reading again, please hear. To accept more material enjoyment means to bind oneself more and more to the miseries of material existence. So this is the key. How one is suffering, why one's suffering is more or less, is to the extent of his desires, his aspirations to have material enjoyment. More wealth, more women, and false aristocracy are some of the demand of the materially disposed man, because he has no information of the benefits derived from Vishnu worship. By Vishnu worship, one can derive benefit in this life as well as in the life after death. Forgetting this principle, foolish people who are after more wealth, more wives, and more children worship various demigods. The aim of life is to end the miseries of life and not to increase them. Krishna in the 5th chapter, what we are discussing in the spiritual scientist, he gives this principle also. What Prabhupada is quoting here, that the more one aspires for material enjoyment, the more one has to suffer. Anyone remembers the verse? Famous verse? Revise the verses should be remembered. When we are studying Bhagavatam, Gita should be known. If you have not known Gita, then what can we study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam? What relishment can come? What is this verse? The more one wants to materially enjoy, the more he is inflicted with miseries. The material miseries are the result of one who is seeking material enjoyment. Bolo? कौन सा श्लोक है? 5th chapter. Famous verse, popular verse, very important principle. What is the root of one's suffering? The root of one's suffering is one's enjoying mentality. ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुख योने ही एवते. As soon as one has the aspiration, ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा, to try to enjoy through the means of his body. So what is the result? Dukh yone hi evate. He gets the result. And what is the result? That he has perpetual sufferings and frustrations in material existence. For material enjoyment, there is no need to approach the demigods. Again, Prabhupada is saying. Again, this is how Prabhupada started the first paragraph. There is no need to worship demigods of whatsoever category. Here again he is saying, for even material enjoyment, there is no need to approach the demigods. The demigods are but servants of the Lord. As much they are duty bound to supply necessities of life in the form of water, light, air, etc. One should work hard and worship the Supreme Lord by the fruit of one's hard labor for existence. And that should be the motto of life. One should be careful to execute the occupational service with faith in God in the proper way. And that will lead one gradually on the progressive march back to Godhead. Lord Shri Krishna, when he was personally present at Vrajadham, stopped the worship of demigod Indra and advised the residents of Vraja to worship their business and to have faith in God. Worshipping the multi-demigods for material gain is practically a perversity of religion. Worshipping the multi-demigods for material gain is practically a perversity of religion. This sort of religious activity has been condemned in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam as Kaitava Dharma. There is only one religion in the world to be followed by one and all, and that is the Bhagavad Dharma, or the religion which teaches one to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and no one else. So here, it is being condemned. Many slokas in Bhagavad Gita, where this principle is already emphasized by Krishna. Anyone remembers the verse? What should I say? I am asking and most of you are not replying. Krishna has already told Arjuna that the kind of worship will determine whom we worship and in which mode we worship, which person we worship. That will determine our destination, where we will reach. If we worship the Supreme Lord, then the destination will be the abode of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So Śrīmad Goswami will conclude this section with these two very, very beautiful verses. These verses are the verses to memorize. Vasudeva paraveda, Vasudeva paramakhay, Vasudeva parayoga, Vasudeva parakriya, Vasudeva param jnanam, Vasudeva param tapa, Vasudevo paro dharmo, Vasudeva paragati. So now he is concluding that what is the essence of all these scriptures and of all worship is the worship of Vasudeva, who is the son of Vasudeva. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna. That is Vasudeva Paraveda. Para means the perfect, or here it is being said the ultimate goal, or that which is beyond the mode, transcendental. So what the Vedas prescribe is one should worship the personality of Godhead, Lord Vasudeva. But another meaning is that Vasudeva is to be worshipped who is beyond the Vedas, is even beyond the Vedas. And the second meaning is that the Vedas prescribe that one must worship Vasudeva who is beyond the material modes. So in the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. So that is in the Vedas. So what is the verse Krishna says for this first line? Vasudeva Paraveda. Where is the recommendation made? Very, very popular verse. Really? Bolo, if you have to unmute, speak. Yeah, speak, Dolamani Dayashil Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी सर्वस्य चाहम हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्त ज्ञान अपहरणं च वेदस्य सर्वे अहमेव वेद्य.
Vedeshcha sarver ahamiva vedya. The purpose of all the Vedic literatures is to approach me, is to reach me. So Vasudeva Paraveda and Vasudeva Paramakhe. The purpose of all makhe means the sacrifice. The makhe is also meaning where the clarified butter is offered. So where is the clarified butter offered? In the sacrifice. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Which verse is this? Everything is from Bhagavad Gita only. Which verse is this? Talking about yajna. बोलिए जल्दी बोलिए. Yes, Pradeep Prabhu.
यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणो अन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्म बन्धनम्.
Very good. Yagyarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana. Also in the 9th chapter, Krishna speaks that all the purpose of the yajna is to please him. Very good. So it is said here that the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. That is the purpose of study of all the Vedas. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please him. Yoga is for realizing him. Vasudeva para yoga. What does the yogi do? How does the yogi attain perfection? There's very famous verse. Krishna says, amongst all the yogis, now I've given you such a big hint, there's nothing left. Yeah, Dolamani Jayashil now knows. What about other? बोलो भाई, अब तो बोलो. मधुसूदन प्रभु and team, you have not contributed.
Prabhu ji, chapter 6, verse number 47.
What is the verse? What is the understanding? Yeah. बोलो. You are right. बोलिए.
Among all yogis, those who are worshipping Supreme Lord, he is the highest.
No, it is not those who worship me. That is not the right translation or right presentation. What does Krishna say? Krishna is giving his final opinion. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana. Those who are always and constantly meditating upon me, their focus is only one. They are always meditating on me. What does a yoga means? Yoga means meditation. So, one who is meditating on Krishna, how madgatena antaratmana, by completely being absorbed in Krishna. Madgate antaratmana is all faculties are completely absorbed in meditating upon Krishna. No sense gets distracted or deviated. The mind is completely connected. And such a person is Shraddhavan bhajate yoma. So then he performs in that yoga connection, he performs the worship. Krishna says, sama-yukta tamamata. Such a yogi is the best. Such a practitioner is the best among all other categories of practitioners. The yoga is for realizing, okay, we have done this. All fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. What is the verse? Vasudeva parakriya. Kriya is action or activity. And what kind of activity the conditioned soul does? What kind of activity the conditioned soul engages in? Fruitive. Only fruitive. So all fruitive activities are ultimately rewarded by him only. He is the supreme knowledge. Vasudeva param jnanam. And all severe austerities are performed to know him. There are many verses that all austerities are meant for pleasing the Supreme Person. Religion, dharma is rendered loving service unto him. He is the ultimate goal of life. So when one knows the identity, then what he has to do? He has to render this service to the Supreme Lord. This is the same. Savaya pumsa parodhar. So the highest religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto him, the Supreme Lord. He is the supreme goal of life. That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is the only object of worship, is confirmed in these two shlokas. In the Vedic literature, there is the same objective: establishing a relationship with Vasudeva, acting according to the relationship, and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto him. This is the sum and substance of Vedas. Okay? So, what is this sum and substance of Vedas? It can be described in 3 words. What Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here. 3 aspects. I read it. What is it called? What is this entire process? This is concluding. He's concluding his answer for the first 2 questions. See again, a little more attention is required. Otherwise, it would have come by now. In the Vedic literature, there is the same objective: establishing a relationship with Vasudeva, acting according to that relationship, and ultimately reviving our lost loving service unto him. That is the sum and substance of the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, the same theory is confirmed by the Lord. In his own words, the ultimate purpose of the Vedas is to know him only. All the revealed scriptures are prepared by the Lord through his incarnation in the body of Srila Vyasadeva, just to remind the fallen souls, conditioned by material nature, of Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. No demigod can award freedom from material bondage. That is the verdict of all the Vedic literatures. Impersonalists who have no information of the personality of Godhead minimize the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord and put him on equal footing with all other living entities. And for this act, such impersonalists get freedom from material bondage only with great difficulty. They can surrender only unto him after many, many births in the culture of transcendental knowledge. Bahunam janmanamante jnanvam prapadyante. How beautifully Prabhupada has translated Jnanvam. That only after many, many births in the culture of transcendental knowledge. One may argue that the Vedic activities are based on sacrificial ceremonies. That is true. But all sacrifices are also meant for realizing the absolute truth, Vasudev. Another name of Vasudev is Yagna, sacrifice. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that all sacrifices and all activities are to be conducted for the satisfaction of Vishnu, Yagna or Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. This is the case also with the yoga systems. Yoga meant to get in touch with the Supreme Lord. The process, however, includes several body features such as asana, dhyana, pranayama, and meditation. And all of them are meant for concentrating the localized aspect of Vasudev, represented as Paramatma. Paramatma realization, and all of them are meant, okay. Paramatma realization is but partial realization of Vasudev. And if one is successful in that attempt, one realizes Vasudev in full. But by ill luck, most yogis are stranded by the powers of mysticism achieved through the bodily process. So here it is being mentioned that there is always the chance of getting distracted or deviated and not reaching the goal, particularly for those who are in this yogic trance. Ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good learned brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants in order to execute the unfinished task of Vasudev realization. Very famous verse. Very, very famous verse. Boliye. From the 6th chapter. Krishna is assuring. Prabhupada is saying, ill-fated yogis are given a chance in the next birth by being placed in the families of good learned brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants in order to execute the unfinished work, unfinished task of Vasudev realization. If such fortunate brahmanas and sons of rich men properly utilize the chance, they can easily realize Vasudev by good association with saintly persons. Unfortunately, such preferred persons are captivated again by material wealth and honor, and thus they practically forget the aim of life. This is also for the culture of knowledge. According to the Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in the culturing knowledge. It's a little puzzling. How many items are there? How many items are there in the section of culturing knowledge? Bolo? We've discussed this so many times.
20 items.
Yeah, 20 items. But here what Prabhupada is mentioning? Only 18 items. According to Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 items in culturing knowledge. What are the other 2 items which are left? Prabhupada talks about that items in the purport. By such culture of knowledge, one becomes gradually prideless, devoid of vanity, non-violent, forbearing, simple, devoted to the great spiritual master, and self-control. By culture of knowledge, one becomes unattached to hearth and home and becomes conscious of the miseries due to death, birth, old age, and disease. And all culture of knowledge culminates in devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Therefore, Vasudeva is the ultimate aim in culturing all different branches of knowledge. Culture of knowledge leading one to the transcendental plane of meeting Vasudeva is real knowledge. Physical knowledge in its various branches is condemned in this Bhagavad Gita as ajnana, or the opposite of real knowledge. The ultimate aim of physical knowledge is to satisfy the senses, which means prolongation of the term of material existence, and thereby continuance of the threefold miseries. So prolonging, the ultimate aim of physical knowledge is to satisfy the senses, which means prolongation of the term of material existence, and thereby continuation of the threefold miseries. So prolonging the miserable life of material existence is nations, but the same physical knowledge leading to the way of spiritual understanding helps one to end the miserable life of physical existence and to begin the life of spiritual existence on the planet of Vasudeva. So knowledge is meant, purpose of knowledge is to have detachment from the material world. The same applies to all kinds of austerity. Tapasya means voluntarily acceptance of bodily pains to achieve some higher end of life. Ravan and Hiranyakashipu underwent a severe type of bodily torture to achieve the end of some sense gratification. Sometimes modern politicians also undergo severe types of austerities to achieve some political end. This is not actually tapasya. One should accept voluntarily bodily inconveniences for the sake of knowing Vasudeva, because that is the way of real austerities. Sometimes you see politicians, Prabhupada is mentioning, what they do? They make a show. What is the show? That they go on unshan. Unshan. That they have given up eating grains, or they have given up eating. Why? Because they want the force. They want to put force on, exert their control and dominance over the government or on some different issues. So Prabhupada is making a remark about it. That is not actually tapasya, because it is not for the purpose of pleasing the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, all forms of austerities are classified as being in the mode of passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance cannot end the miseries of life. Only the mode of goodness can mitigate the threefold miseries of life. What is the page? Vasudeva and Devaki, the so-called father and mother of Lord Krishna, underwent penances to get Vasudeva as their sons. Lord Shri Krishna is the father of all living entities. Lord Shri Krishna is the father of all living beings. Therefore, he is the original living being of all other living beings. He is the original eternal enjoyer amongst all other enjoyers. Therefore, no one can be his begetting father, as the ignorant may think. Lord Shri Krishna agreed to become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki upon being pleased with their service austerities. Therefore, if any austerity have to be done, they must be done to achieve the end of knowledge, which is Vasudeva. One more para is there. Vasudeva is the original personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, as I explained before. The original personality of Godhead expands himself in innumerable forms. Such expansions of forms is made possible by his various energies. His energies are also multifarious, and his internal energies are superior to external energies, inferior in quality. They are explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4 to 6, we discussed the other day. As the para expansions, there's the para and the apara prakritis. So is the expansions of various forms which take place via the internal energies are superior forms, whereas the expansions which take place via the external energy are inferior forms. So there are two Shaktis. One is the Chitta Shakti, which is the Swarupa Shakti or the internal energy. So the expansions which are coming from the Chitta Shakti or the Swarupa Shakti, they are higher. Their position is much higher. And in the conditioned world, in this material world, the expansions are coming from where? It is not from Chitta Shakti, it is from Maya Shakti. Whereas the expansion which take place in the external energies are inferior forms. The living entities are also his expansion. The living entities who are expanded by his internal potency are eternally liberated persons, whereas those who are expanded in terms of the material energies are eternally conditioned soul, Nitya-Baddha and Nitya-Mukta. Therefore, all culture of knowledge, austerity, sacrifice and activities should be aimed at changing the quality of the influence that is acting upon us. What one has to change the quality of influence that is acting upon us? Yeah. Really? What is that influence which is acting upon us? What one has to change? Bolo? Yes? Yes, Sonika?
Prabhuji, material modes are acting upon us, and that can be changed by our desires, changing our desires and consciousness.
And by practice, only desire and consciousness, it will, by desire, the consciousness will remain the same, polluted. So what one has to do, one has to practice it. By practice and detachment, one can come only to the mode of goodness. We must endeavor to cultivate spiritual energy. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that those who are Mahatmas or those whose minds have been broadened as to be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna are under the influence of the internal potency. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita. And the effect is that such broad-minded living beings are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord without deviation. Bhajanti ananya manasa gyatva mam bhutadim avyayam. That should be the aim of life. And that is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. This was the question, what is the essence of all Vedic literatures? No one should bother himself with fruitive activities or dry speculations about transcendental knowledge. Everyone should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Nor should one worship different demigods who work as different hands of the Lord for creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. There are innumerable powerful demigods who look over the external management of the material world. They are all different assisting hands of Lord Vasudeva. Even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma are included in the list of demigods. But Lord Vishnu or Vasudeva is always transcendently situated. Even though he accepts the quality of goodness of the material world, he is still transcendental to all material goodness. He is all transcendental to all material modes. The following example will clear up the matter more explicitly. In the prison house, there are prisoners and the managers of the prison house. Both the managers and the prisoners are bound by the law of the king. But even though the king sometimes comes in the prison, he is not bound by the laws of the prison house. The king is therefore always transcendental to the laws of the prison house. And the Lord is always transcendental to the laws of the material world. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. So this section is completed. And from next section, Srila Suta Goswami will answer the fourth question. Third question is not being answered now because first creation has to take place. Then only Krishna will appear as the son of Vasudeva. So what is the purpose? So how he will appear without creation? So what was told, what was the fourth question? That who are the Purusha avatars? So Shuddha Goswami will speak about it. It's a small section from 30 to 34. We'll try to take it tomorrow. Thank you very much. If there is any question or discussion, you may ask. Yes, Sonika. Boliye.
Prabhuji, in the purport of 28th verse, it was told that Yajna is Lord Vishnu. It was told in purport. So both are equal, Prabhuji.
What is equal?
It was
Yajna
told.
is Vishnu. Yeah, Yajna is meant for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Yajna by Vishnu. So the purpose of Yajna is only one. Is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is not different. Yajna by Vishnu. The purpose of Yajna is to please the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. So what actually are you asking? It is the same. Yajna means Vishnu.
Yes, Prabhuji, this was the question that Yajna represents Vishnu, Lord Vishnu.
Yes. You see verse number 3.9. I opened the book, the same verse opened. Exactly the same verse, 154. 3.9. Yagyarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana. So Prabhupada quotes in that, in the purport. Yajna means Lord Vishnu or sacrificial performance. All sacrificial performance are also meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu. The Vedas enjoy Yajna by Vishnu. 3.30. 3.9, sorry. 3.9. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one performs prescribed yajnas or directly serves Lord Vishnu. Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of yajna as it is prescribed in this verse. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So yajna is meant only to worship Vishnu. This is what this verse is saying. Vasudeva paramakhe. And the purpose, this is what the question was asked. That what is the essence? What is the purpose of all the scriptures? Here, then he says again, Vasudeva Parakriya in the same verse. That all activities have to go beyond the three modes. Within the three modes, one will perform only fruitive activities. So one has to go beyond. So beyond Kriya. That is why this Gita Mahatmya is there. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gita Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. What is the third line? There, Shil. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gita Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. Yeah, okay, you remember? I know the word, but I am asking you to put emphasis on this. Yes, Donika?
Prabhuji, eko mantra se tasya namani.
Yani. Then what is the last line? Karma api ekam devasya seva. One, this is what has to do. All endeavor, all activity is for devasya seva. Otherwise, it is shrameva hi kevalam. Karma api ekam devasya seva. Okay. Very beautiful verse to remember. Huh? What is there to remember? See, Vasudeva Para is there in every line. So it is Veda, Makha, Yoga, Kriya, Jnanam, Tapa, Dharma, and Gati. So if we are doing the study of scriptures for the purpose of pleasing Supreme Lord, if we are distributing literature for the pleasure of Supreme Lord, we are performing all sacrifice every day, we are waking up and chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That is the best sacrifice. The purpose is to please Krishna. We are meditating on Krishna, we are remembering Krishna, we are thinking of Krishna, we are attempting to please Krishna. So this is Para Yoga. And 24/7 we are engaged in serving the Lord. It is Kriya, Jnanam. Like all the knowledge that we are obtaining is to come to this conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme. Then for that we are performing Tapaha. So much austerity is there. And the final religion is to develop love for the Supreme Lord. Then, what will be the result? Vasudeva Paragati. The supreme goal of life, Shri Krishna will be attained. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Many of our regular devotees are also not hearing. Very few. Attendance is becoming slim. I knew as we will progress, it will become less. Because still the interest is not, it is not Vasudeva Paraveda. This principle which Srila Sudha Goswami is concluding is still not there. It's something else is there. So please remind them, call them, ask them where are they busy, why they are not able to attend. I even don't see Devashish Prabhu. He is also missing today. Manoram Prabhu told me he has some work. Please read these verses, continue to read, distribute Prabhupada's book. This month, if you distribute Prabhupada's book, so much mercy will come. Without mercy, we cannot study Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, or for that matter, any Vedic literature. Why? Because if we study Vedic literature, then one will become knowledgeable and renounced. One will become detached. One who has become knowledgeable, renounced, and detached, then material existence cannot continue. He can go return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Manini Mataji, सुन रही हैं आप? हरि बोल.